Huddle Up Podcast. The month of August has begun. We are in the final home stretch of our off-season program. The new football season is just weeks away at this point. Our new season of live shows is just 20 days away from today. Live shows will be resuming Tuesday, August the 23rd. Pay attention to our social media channels, Facebook, facebook.com/Huddle Up Podcast, and Twitter @Huddle Up Podcast, as we will be announcing the start time. Still hammering out the final details on that, but we should have something here shortly. And make sure you subscribe on all podcast platforms, YouTube as well, and get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. Matt, Jim, EJ, and Kyle back again.
Hey, I got first billing. What's up? I'm the host now.
you said your own name though, Jim. What the hell's your problem?
Well, I'm letting people know who I am.
You know you're Jim. You said that.
I mean, I'm letting people know who I am. I mean, they should know who I am.
No argument.
It's about
on my show,
time
guys.
EJ showed a little, this is what humility looks like, EJ. Maybe you should take a lesson.
Wait, you don't think I'm humble? I call you 7'5". What are you talking about?
That's the joke.
So tonight we're looking at kind of the idea of greatness, and from like a team standpoint, also a player standpoint, and the obsession of titles and championships as it relates to sports fans. Obviously, we are all fans here. In some form and fashion, whether it be in sports, pro wrestling, we've all covered, we've covered events where you have to kind of take fandom out of it and make it more business, so you can kind of compare the two worlds. But I remember earlier in the summer, I saw kind of this question posed. I don't remember if it was on like Dan Patrick or if it was just something I saw on Twitter, but it's the idea of, like, are we as fans, or are we too title obsessed as sports fans? And if anybody has any immediate thoughts, feel free to jump in and get the conversation going. But like, yeah, EJ.
No, I don't think we're title obsessed. More so, we are not context obsessed enough. I think title's important, but I think we've downgraded to me, it's like everything's either title or bust, no matter what. Like, you're not good enough if you don't win a championship. Like, last I checked, Dan Marino to me is still arguably top 5 quarterback of all time. And he's been to one Super Bowl.
Thank you. It's funny.
You know what I'm saying? It's weird. Like, you have great NBA players like Charles Barkley and, Karl Malone, and all these guys have not won titles, but, their teams were consistent every year. Like, we've lowered the value now, and it's funny. Like, when growing up, I'm 42 years old, and growing up, I grew up in an era where division titles mattered, conference championship matters. If you won the NFC East, it was a big deal. NL East, big deal. You won, the Eastern Conference, Atlantic Division, big deal. Now it's like, okay, well, who cares? Win a championship. So, like, basically the mindset of people today, and it has been like this for the last maybe like 10, 15 years, is more so either one team's great and another 29 or another 31 teams, whatever sport you're talking about, sucks. And to me, I think it's pathetic. I think it's just it's lacking context and lacking respect for the people who play the sport and do the grind every day. So often it's sad.
Isn't this annoying coming from the guy that pounds the table for Thomas Edward Bieber Brady and tries to convince me that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer? Anyways,
I downgraded Eli Manning last year. You know that.
As completely baseless as any credibility that EJ could have on this topic, he also, by complete accident with the sun shining on the dogs we're in, is exactly right. And I know who exactly to blame. Why am I allowed to blame this particular entity? Because I'm technically a member of it. Heck, technically we are members of it. The
Correct.
Media has caused this problem. That's right, I said it. You're too focused on championships and all this other stuff. What about the goddamn story? The fact that nobody knows who Priest Holmes is, even though he doesn't have a ring necessarily. The fact that Dan Marino, who got 5,000 yards before it was cool. Oh, well, he's just a hipster now, I guess. No. In a world, by the way, where the quarterbacks weren't saved because of Tom Brady rules. All right, actual tough quarterbacks. You couldn't move, so you took a hit. You didn't kick a player and then whine like a bitch at the referee afterward, okay? Listen, I'm not here to say that Tom Brady's a bad quarterback, but let's be honest.
Watch it.
A lot of that is carriage. You know what? You want to protect Tom Brady? Cool. What about all the worshiping of Favre before Brady got big? Give me a break. The guy led the league in interceptions, and when he retired, some commercial actually came out, no kidding, with a commemorative coin saying, "Get the coin for the greatest quarterback of all time." I'll grant it lacks credibility, but the fact that anybody thought to do that when he's the third best quarterback in Packer history, yeah, you forgot about Bart Starr, bitches. Okay, come on. Yeah.
I was thinking Domikowski, but okay, go right ahead.
Championships are a team achievement, not a player achievement. And that always gets forgotten by way of the media having garbage ass analysis.
Yeah, that was a point
But
that
I have no opinion either way.
I was going to say, Kyle, if you could please try to add more than just one word answers to this discussion, I'd really, really appreciate it. And I mean, EJ kind of touched on it. Kyle, you touched on it as well. It's like other parts, other layers to this discussion. Yeah, has the media like played a hand into it, and I think they obviously have. For me, my thought on it is it honestly depends on where your favorite team is at, like in their with the way their roster's set up, where they've been at contextually year to year, and the growth of a team. I mean, I joke every year going into baseball season that I'm an Orioles fan, and then I root for the Phillies when the Orioles are done. So I'm a Phillies fan on opening day. So like, so I there's never going to be a point. For me, I can't think of a time even in the next 5-10 years where I'm going to go into a baseball season thinking World Series or bust for the Baltimore Orioles. Like the concept of that does not even exist. But there are definitely seasons where it is kind of Super Bowl or bust for the Cowboys, or Stanley Cup or bust for the Washington Capitals. Kyle,
I think it's all relative in that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to gauge where they are. When the Sixers were going through the process, you were just looking for growth. Which players are going to be contributors to that? Right. If they win a handful of games, that's great. But the main overall thing is, what do we have moving forwards? I think that's kind of where Eagles, realistic ones anyway, should be with the team right now, is going into this season. Is Super Bowl on the line? I would say that would be the extreme optimist. Is playoffs or bust kind of the goal? And I would say yes. So, you can go to layers of what's a successful season for your team. Where do you want to see them go? I mean, if you're a Flyers fan, you're looking at perennial rebuilding for who knows when that's going to end. But other teams, you want to see them at least take that next step. So the Sixers, there was a grace period. Now it's to the point where let's get to the next level. Eagles, we just saw that not too long ago. So rebuild, let's see where we can get. I think that's kind of what it has to be for a sports fan. If you're going into every season hoping for a championship, you're just going to be a depressed fan year in and year out. And that's a Philly fan.
Please,
but that's also
please see my Sunday Twitter feed in about 2.5 months.
That takes away, I think, a lot of the fun of it. But at the same time, that's also the joy of getting to that championship. I mean, Jim, as a Capitals fan, that Stanley Cup win meant the world to you. For me, the Phillies, the Eagles, because of the weight, the growth, that meant a ton to me. So I think that's kind of what we miss out on if we always go in and say we have to win this year.
Yeah, I mean, in 2018 when the Caps won the Stanley Cup, when I had people that like I rarely talk to were messaging me, like telling me they were happy, like that like that's why that's kind of like why we do what we do as fans. And I mean, let's be honest, like
Did you cry when he won?
Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that.
Oh no.
I cried when they finally eliminated Pittsburgh in the second round.
I can, like, when he won the championship in 06, the first title, I fucking balled like a little baby.
Yeah, like it was. I mean,
I didn't ball.
Just like you do after every show with me.
Hey-oh!
I had tears for the Phillies ones, for the Eagles ones. I think it was just more stunned silence than anything else.
I did tear up for when the Giants went to the Super Bowl in 07, not when they beat the Patriots, but when they beat Green Bay in Lambeau.
Oh, I thought you were.
I teared up.
I was gonna say I thought you were emotional when Tom Brady lost, but that's,
When Tom Brady lost.
That happened after when everything settled down. Like,
honestly,
hey,
I think I was more. I think I was more emotional in the moment when they finally eliminated Pittsburgh, because like that was the big hump that the Capitals couldn't get over for years, especially like with Ovechkin and Backstrom. And then like when they won the cup, I think it was more just shock, because there just came a point where I had told myself, like, this is something I'm never going to see. Like I saw the Cowboys win a Super Bowl when I was 10. Like it's not something I even like actively consider myself seeing as like an adult fan.
See, that's kind of the way for the Mets also too. I was 6 when they won the 86.
I
know when the Mets win the title, I'm gonna go ballistic.
I know if the Cowboys ever finally do it, people are going to hate me. I know that if that ever happens, or if Notre Dame ever wins a national title, people are going to be unfollowing, muting me.
Wait, God, please don't let it happen.
Yeah, people thought I was annoying for the Capitals.
First of all.
Yeah.
First of all you peons talking about when your team's won a championship, listen, I happen to cheer for a franchise that has multiple ones and has been back to the Super Bowl a couple times since. So I wouldn't know the pain to the same extent that you do. But I will say that.
Go ahead. That's over. Go ahead. Go.
You think you do, but that'll just be another setup for me, I'm sure, EJ. But
yeah, I'm sure.
As somebody who has the most credibility here, like, if we only make it about championships, but then at the same time, like the NFL especially, but I think all sports are trying to do it now except baseball. Parity is supposed to be the goal, yet all that people are talking about is championships. I don't think you can have that both ways, right? If we're all challenged in talking only about titles, then why do I care about Dikembe Mutombo that time he beat the Sonics? And that's really the only big thing you have. Why do we talk about Archie Manning if it's just all about titles?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
How do you have the Sweet 16 and all that and upsets in college basketball be the reason why so many people watch, and yet, he doesn't have any titles. It's ridiculous to me.
Sure. Jumping in, somebody who has not, we have not had this voice on the podcast in quite a while.
Hey.
My brother Sean. Now I think Matt obviously knew him. EJ, I can't remember. EJ and Kyle, if you guys have actually officially been on this show.
Time, I think I may have been on with you.
I feel like one time we were on the same one together. Yeah.
So Sean, we are discussing if we are too title obsessed as sports fans. EJ kind of touched on the players like Barkley, Marino, guys who are some of the greatest players of all time, never won. Kyle definitely had a few opinions about the media and their hand, in this as sports fans. But when you hear the question, are we too title obsessed as sports fans? What's your thought?
Well, I think kind of as a culture, we are. I feel like, and I don't know that there's anything wrong with it. I feel like as athletes, across the board, I mean, that's the goal. The goal is to win a championship. So as a fan who wants to be a part of things and wants to believe you're a part of a process, to make that the end goal isn't an issue. I don't know that and I feel like, as far as we look at players, legacy, that's where the issue is. The issue is like, the fact that, Matt Stafford, as a prime example, currently is all of a sudden, in my opinion now with a championship, maybe not a first ballot, but close Hall of Famer. When you look at his numbers stacked up against history and, yes, it's a different game and but you look at the stats and he should have been a Hall of Famer already, but then now he won one. He goes to a team, you get the Super Bowl and now it's like a no brainer. I feel like if that Super Bowl or that title brings you to a no-brainer situation, then why wasn't it a no-brainer before? Like, there's other ways to measure. Party says like maybe it's like leadership, for certain positions. I don't think it's across the board at every position, because people don't really say that about, say, Calvin Johnson. Like Calvin Johnson, well, he's not played on the same team as Matt Stafford.
Sure.
No brainer, Hall of Famer. But because Matt Stafford plays a position like the quarterback, where essentially you're a player coach, you're a leadership position, that's where the title obsession comes in way too hard. And in other sports, I don't know. Now me being a Philadelphia sports fan and a Notre Dame fan, I'm far less title obsessed.
I'm sorry.
Than others, but it's still, you look at cities like Philadelphia and one Super Bowl, one recent World Series, and with beyond that, you got to go back several decades, but it's a town that still, dives on Donovan McNabb and dives on Andy Reid, and not so much anymore, but the fact that those two people had to defend their careers for so long simply because they didn't win one, even though they were right on the doorstep so many times. I think as a culture, we forget how hard it is to even get to a point to play for those. So I feel, yes, we're a bit too title obsessed, but I don't know that it's some type of cancer that's like, eating away at sports, because sports are great and you should want the best out of your team and you should be disappointed when you don't get it. And, I feel like the only time it really harpers on me is when it's a certain player in a leadership role.
No, I agree with you, Bob.
Listen, Jim's evil twin has a great point, but here's the thing I think that one championship is awesome.
Thank you for giving me the evil. It's nice.
But I think you make a great point about there being, going forward, and like Stafford's a great example about him being uplifted on that. It's when we start banging for guys for, quote, having just one, or idiots who are out there that'll actually put Lynn Dawson ahead of Dan Marino on an all-time list quarterback-wise. At some point, it does get stupid. And I think that's what we're trying to acknowledge here,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
I've been in the Manning argument before.
There are people who think
because there was a point where Eli had more.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you,
and at that point, I got in a dead heated argument with somebody, and to the guy's credit, stuck to his guns, because he's like, so you're telling me Trent Dilfer's better than Dan Marino? He's like, well, yeah, he's got a Super Bowl. And I was like, and you're telling me, as far as Manning brothers go, Eli is the better Manning. You're gonna go with that? And the guy just stuck to his guns and was just like, yep. And I was like, and it hurt my brain a lot, but I mean, hey.
That's how aneurysms happen.
Is this the part where I make a joke?
I just had a second one. It hurt again. Like I froze. I lost everything just thinking about this guy.
There are people who think that Aaron Rodgers sucks because he has one title and he won that title 12 years ago. How stupid you have to be to say that.
Is that disappointing as a franchise? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a lot more that goes into it than Aaron Rodgers not being good enough? Is it you look at the receivers that Aaron Rodgers has had across the board for his entire career.
Exactly.
Not great. Like every year.
I mean, pardon my 49er bias, but look at that defense who was unable to do anything while Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball, 6 times in a playoff game? Come on now.
That was fun.
Yeah. It's and like we've definitely touched on, a huge layer of this whole discussion is like greatness being measured not just by titles. And I mean, I am not going to deny that I very much become a victim of the moment. With at least 3 out of my 4 favorite sports teams. Like I said, I will never be a victim of the moment with the Baltimore Orioles. I don't ever foresee that being a thing.
Well, you have to get to the moment.
Well, right, exactly. Which
you have to be at the moment.
Known for showing up.
They last won a World Series in '83. It might be 2083, but by the next time they actually win one, I don't think I'm going to see 98 years old. So probably not going to see it happen in my life. But like if I can look look back at things in perspective, I can appreciate them more. Once I get away from that moment. But yeah, measuring like greatness, there's so many great players and there's so many great teams that have not won championships. I mean, the first one that really comes to my mind is that the Buffalo Bills. Some don't want to call it a dynasty because they didn't win championships, but when you make 4 straight Super Bowls, that's pretty fucking impressive. Like that is a great team. If you want to find a different word besides dynasty to put on it, sure, go ahead. But that team was great. Like that group of players,
oh, absolutely,
was great. So yeah, it is not just but I feel like now, and again, Kyle, you had a great point. Like if you made it to 4 straight Super Bowls now and you didn't win, the narrative wouldn't be this team was great. The narrative would be this team couldn't get it done, right?
Like, I don't know. Let's just ask the Eagles fan in the room, right, Matt?
Right, Matt. Right, Sean. Like that's.
Hey,
we won one eventually.
Right, but that was the narrative, right? Like
for sure.
My fault, Sean. I forgot you were an Eagles fan too. No disrespect.
I'm literally.
I mean, y'all did boo Donovan McNabb when he first came in,
and Santa Claus.
Oh, for God's sake!
God, EJ. Every time we want to start to give you credit, you go and do something like that.
I'm a Giants fan. I don't have any love for these guys. Come on.
No, you're not, Cowboys. Stop it.
You're also a Jalen Hurts.
Matt, come to the rescue, will you? Come to the rescue.
But right, the narrative wasn't necessarily how great those Eagles teams were. It was that they couldn't get to the Super Bowl.
Kyle's point, a lot of that is on the media.
Right. That's
media above all is ones that if things are going great, they will find a reason to shit all over it and make things worse and make every single WIP caller an angry piece of shit that they are. So
you said this on the record for
a lot. Quote me. A lot of this is just like Kyle said, media driven too, because a lot of sports writers, especially in big markets, get more clicks, get more traffic when they are taking the counterpoint and when they are making people upset. That's when you're going to get your calls. That's when you're going to get your comments. That's when you're going to get your views, is when you can do that. Look at the people that are big on ESPN right now. It's not so much analysis. It's more so, can we get people upset about certain things, which is why there's plenty of ESPN talking heads that are famous just for that reason, is just because they can get people upset about their team more so than point out what's actually going on with them.
Right.
Well, and jumping off that, I think that says a lot about, I mentioned the kind of the culture of sports, but it's a culture of the world right now. I mean, it's a culture of like, who's hot right now, who's got the most views right now. We're a social media driven society, and nobody wants to hear about statistics. I can read about statistics. I can look them up real quick on my one of a dozen apps that I have on my phone. It doesn't, I don't want to hear about how somebody went 34 of 40 for 400 yards. I want to hear about whether they won the game. Did they get into a fight? What's a video that I can watch that's going to go viral? Unfortunately, from an athlete's perspective, especially in certain positions, like the only thing that's going to get you to go viral is probably winning the championship, unless you're going to find something else you're known for. That's going to be
Mariners and Angels.
What gets the hits. Yeah.
That's a great point, Sean. And I don't know if you've seen Mad Max Fury Road yet, but you probably would recognize one of my favorite GIFs right now. And that's, the guy pointing up at a post and saying, that's bait. One of my favorites right now. And I've been using a lot just because of the reason you were talking about, bro.
It's kind of sad. It's kind of disappointing. And I think, as a society, like the issue we're debating, I think has more to do with like fringe fans. You have your hard-nosed fans for each sport. And if you're, if you're a hard-nosed baseball fan, if you're a hard-nosed hockey fan, if you're a hard-nosed gymnastics fan, like you're able to witness greatness and know that it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been a person that, whatever the sport it is, like I want to watch the best that there is. There's a reason that I always turn on the final day of golf if Tiger Woods was playing. There's a reason I would turn it on if I had time and Roger Federer was playing. It doesn't mean that I'm the world's biggest tennis fan. It doesn't mean that I know how well he's done throughout the tournament. I would like to watch him when I have a chance, or her. And I would, and your hard-nosed sports fans want to witness greatness, and that's great. Unfortunately, your fringe sports fans don't know how to measure greatness without titles. And those are the people that are driving social media, that are driving where we are.
I mean, you joke about gymnastics. There are people that crack on Simone Biles. Who does that?
Right?
Well, and I think gambling and especially with football, fantasy plays a hand into it as well. It's not the success of a team. It's did you score enough points when the matchup? Like, how many times in a season do you see a player vocalize that they don't give a shit about your fantasy team? They're just concerned about their team getting the victory, and we'll see him again. We'll see him again here, in the next month or so. We'll start to see those tweets firing up. But and we talked about, and it was a great unintended transition, Sean. When talking about like fans and titles and whatnot, but looking at a different aspect of it, is when your team gets eliminated, would you rather the team that eliminates your favorite team, regardless of sport? And I know, EJ, this is complicated for you with the number of favorite teams that you have. Sean, for the record, EJ has about 47 favorite football teams and
fake news, fake news, fake news.
But when
everyone likes a winner. And the only way to guarantee you're going to like a winner is to like all the teams.
Yeah, see, it's the EJ
philosophy.
Like
what person? What can I say?
But when your team gets eliminated,
your team, I don't like, definitely, Kyle. You know that.
The Eagles are my NFC East team, but my NFC West team is the 49ers and the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Something like that.
Not the Rams?
That's right.
My AFC team is the Patriots, but I love Tom Brady, so I got to go back to the NFC and like the Bucs too.
Now you're speaking, DJ.
I mean, you're right. You're down there. You're down there.
And my
in
favorite
Tampa Bay,
receiver is
Sean.
this guy, so he played for 9 teams. I got to like all 9 of them.
I hate the Eagles, but God, Jalen Hurts is a cool dude. So
I mean, Sean, you got to like Brady and the Bucs because you're down there in Tampa Bay. So it's.
Well, I'm down here. I get to. I mean, it is kind of. I mean, the culture shock has been more than just weather. The fact that you walk into it. I mean, I moved here in 2019, and since that time, no sport here has been irrelevant.
Yeah,
like every team in every sport. Thank God they don't have an NBA team.
I mean, I'm in Florida too, so we're down South Florida. So I mean,
there you go. Yeah, I'm here in St. Pete, and it's just literally I'm watching a Rays team. The Rays is the big one for me, and it's a little off topic, but since we brought it up, the other two are like whatever, but the Tampa Bay Rays is a team that's like doing it the right way. They're like putting together teams with what little they have, and it's a team that can't like get a stadium built for themselves because nobody wants to fund it because no one will go, and it's just
right. They know it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just unreal. The bars are packed watching them, but nobody will pay $10 to get in. Yeah.
I've covered the Trop, too. It needs to be replaced. Listen, them playing the Shrine Bowl in there is proof.
It wasn't good when it was a hockey building. Let's be clear about that. But when your team gets eliminated, do you want that team that does the eliminating to end up winning a title, or do you want them bounced as quickly as possible? Sean, I'll start with you on this one.
Well, thanks for that.
No problem.
I think that the Northeast native and the Philadelphia fan, the initial instinct is there that screw you guys, I want you dead. Like I've had and I think sometimes it depends on the type of loss. I still hate Kurt Warner to this day. I don't care how many cancers his wife overcame. I don't care how many groceries he bagged before he did it. His Cardinals team took away probably, in my opinion, the best shot we had at a Super Bowl in that era. And to this day,
right?
Yeah, to this day it was a championship game. And did Greg Lewis drop a pass that I could have caught on the sidelines? Probably.
I don't know. We would have fucking throttled that Raiders team.
Oh my God, that team. Well, either way, that team was stacked, and
So
I really
what you're
hate
saying,
Kurt Warner?
Sean, is you did not see the Kurt Warner movie, is what you're telling me.
No, I do not. The only Kurt Warner I care about was a running back for the Seahawks. Anyway.
With a C, not a K.
Yeah, C was C, not a K. And a part of me takes that, and I think like where I usually do is I do that route where I attack like the person that made me angry, because as a general rule, like the last thing you want to do is to say that, in my opinion, is to say that you got bounced by a team that didn't belong there. Because if you got beat by a team that didn't belong there and they couldn't carry their weight and they couldn't take that win and do something with it, then what good were you? Exactly. I don't care how much you think you were better than that team, then beat them. So if that team goes on to win a championship, at least you just become one of 3 or 4 teams, and people forget that you embarrassed yourself or that they embarrassed you. I would much rather the team that I'm doing. Now, the exception to that rule would be anybody from goddamn Boston or anybody from goddamn Dallas. If you were from either of those 2 cities, go fuck yourself. You better lose in the next game, the next round, the next 17 rounds. I don't care how many playoff games you have after that. But otherwise, as a general
rule, holy shit, that scares me, dude. Like, serious. Fuck them.
But as a general rule, let them win. That's my usual rule.
But fuck Dallas and fuck Boston. EJ, your thoughts on this?
To me, it's situational. I just went through this recently, actually, with the Miami Heat losing to the Celtics. I fucking hate the Celtics. Go Warriors, and go Warriors hard. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on the situation.
See?
It depends on which team.
Boston.
Yeah, it depends on which teams do it. So let me see. Any teams that I've lost to that I didn't mind winning in the end? Not really. But if it's Boston, if it's obviously Philly, if it's
No, don't say if it's Boston, Patriot fan. We know better.
Shut up.
Yeah, if it's anyone from Boston except one of my 3 favorite Boston teams.
Right. He got me. Fuck.
Damn.
Which
I didn't
three? Wait.
Sean.
Which
Jim
3 though,
Eagles
Sean?
win.
Sean, which 3? Which
Because
3?
Sean can dunk.
I mean, I obviously not the Celtics, so I would assume that the Red Sox and the Bruins are in play, and the Patriots clearly are.
I actually
because
don't
they
mind.
win, so that's fine.
I actually, Matt, don't start me now. I actually don't mind the Red Sox.
Oh, fuck you!
Because I hate the Yankees. So I hate the fucking
Joe Buck yourself.
Yeah, you can hate both of them, dickhead.
No,
you're allowed
to
hate them both.
No, I do. What I'm saying is that when they're rivals. When they play in ALCS,
Jim, pass the popcorn.
The Red Sox. I hate the Yankees. I'm a Met fan. I can't help it. I'm a Met fan. So it was Dallas, obviously.
Okay, so you're a Mets fan, which means that at some point, usually 30 to 40 games into a season, you have to pick another team. Who's your other team?
Oh, no. I guess the Marlins, but no. I check out.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to get to know the other hosts.
This jackass with popcorn in his hand, too. Same for tomorrow.
I brought Sean. He can do my lifting for me.
That's what tomorrow's watch along.
Jim knows for a fact that Sean has logged in, which means he can just sit back and relax for a second.
And the people, and it's not a video, but this one's not a video one, so the people listening, they don't know the difference.
Yeah, they have no idea. I'll just be like, all right, so I'll just bring us back, and we'll repitch the. So what you're saying is from a playoff perspective, your team gets bounced. Mm-hmm. The bouncer, where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go anywhere at all?
Depends on the team. It all depends. Niners, fuck them. Cowboys.
Oh, you had a problem this season, didn't you, Chief?
No, go Rams, motherfucker. What are we talking about? Go Rams.
Oh, it must have taken
Rams?
It took you a while before
over the Niners. Yeah, definitely.
You root for the Rams too?
No. I don't for the Rams.
No one in LA roots for the Rams.
That's very true. That's
No one
so
in LA
fucking
knows
true.
they have two football teams.
Those 12 teams, right?
Much less one, much less two.
But definitely Niners, definitely Cowboys, all Philly, and mostly Boston.
All right, Kyle.
You're no Cowboys fan. You don't say that.
I hate the Cowboys. Come on.
Listen.
No, you don't.
As the person,
I do.
As somebody uniquely qualified to, first of all, expect a Christmas card from Sean now, because the Cowboys were bounced by the 49ers in such a fashion from the underdog seat. So I'll be expecting that come December. And,
fuck you,
and
buddy.
also, but
I made money. I made money in that game. That's why I root for the Niners. I had to gamble the Niners win that game, and they did. So
picked against them, but that's
Wallet.
okay. No, listen. I think Sean's spot on with one particular thing. It's less about who goes on after your beat than who beat you. And if it was a situation, let's say the Saints snuck in where they didn't belong, or not the Saints so much, the Vikings or something snuck in, and the one time Captain Kirk actually steps in and performs in the clutches against my team, I'm gonna be a little bit pissed. You know, it's more kind of that. Now, granted, it's kind of nice that while the Niners did lose, I ended up being justified in trying to tell the world that Matt Stafford's a good quarterback, like EJ and I had done for years. That was cute. I had fun with that. Did I care that they won the Super Bowl? I mean, not in this one, because it was Stafford getting it, or getting some love from Joe Burr, who I personally interviewed and think is a cool guy. That was a win-win for me. You know, as much as it could
But
be.
the question is, if someone like Kirk Cousins has a game and beats your team, and there's, say, moves on to the NFC Championship game, do you want them to lose in that game with Kirk Cousins, or do you want Kirk Cousins to just rise above and win a Super Bowl so you can be like, well, guess it was his year? What's your play there?
The response to should I cheer for Kirk Cousins is hell to the
in the next round. Yes.
Now, because I don't want him any further. Hell no. I don't want him lifted any further. Yes, I don't want him lifted any further as a talent. This is why the 28-3 freaking debacle by the Falcons is so awful. Thanks to that bullshit, morons like EJ are going to be in my ear about Brady for the rest of my life.
What you're saying is if Kirk Cousins won a Super Bowl, that he would be praised as some kind of winner because we're so title obsessed, and you couldn't allow that to happen. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
See, that's what we do. It's almost closer, except that I know Matt's going to come in and just blow us away.
I hate to do it, but I'm going to fucking agree with EJ because it is situational. For fuck's sake, because if the Celtics beat the Sixers, get them out of here. If the Wizards beat the Sixers, good for them. I hope they do well in the next round.
How many exceptions do you have, Matt?
It's probably more so based on the actual fan base. Like if you are an obnoxious fucking fan base, for instance, like the Miami Heat fan base, I do not want to see you ever see happiness again in your life. If you are an obnoxious fan base like the Dallas Cowboys fan base, I never want to see you see happiness again in your life.
Pittsburgh.
Yes,
another
thank you.
Prime example. The Pittsburgh
Sorry, I had something
Steelers.
in my throat there. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So teams like that, but when the Raptors bounce the Sixers in heartbreaking fucking fashion, fuck you forever, Kawhi Leonard. I still wanted to see the Raptors take down everyone they faced after that. I wanted them to be, okay, we lost to the best. What can you do? You lost to the eventual champion. So there are instances where I'm okay with rooting for the team that knocked out my team, but they're few and far between.
Yeah,
So we're just finding the exceptions at this point.
I'm offended.
We seem to all be for like, well, I want to lose to a winner, but
oh no, I will find the exception for if it's okay for the team that eliminated my team to move on. I want them dead immediately.
all the time.
Almost every time. Like, I mean,
Because you're a sore loser. That's why.
it would have
like
to be
when Dez dropped that pass and the Packers moved on.
when Dez caught it and the Packers moved on.
The next round,
I wanted the Packers out. It would have to be a situation of like if the Packers eliminated the Cowboys and then went on to play the Eagles the next week. Then I would like if the enemy of my enemy becomes my friend.
Your friend. Yes.
So but then I'm not even going to say if the Cowboys when the Cowboys get eliminated in the first round. Okay, so if it's the Packers doing the job on the Cowboys in the first round, they go on to play the Eagles. I want the Packers to win.
The only time ever for the Cowboys is when they play the Eagles.
But then if
you're going to root for Aaron Rodgers,
I'm rooting for the Packers. I'm rooting for the Packers. I'm rooting for the great people of Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh Jesus!
But I
Come on, Jim.
I want the Packers to eliminate the Eagles, but then I immediately want them to lose in the NFC Championship. Like, I don't want them to go on to win a title, but I want them to eliminate the team that I hate the most. So it's situational.
Isn't it funny how in Philly the exception always seems to be like the teams, like the fan bases that have what we consider enough titles. Like it's like, okay, Boston, fuck yourself. Like, you have 9,000 titles. You don't need a fucking another title. Like, go ahead and lose to this other team. But then it's like, yeah, Milwaukee. Like, all right, fine, go win. Yeah.
But I think part of it's the fan base too, like you said. Like the Boston fan base being what they are, I have no problem understanding why people cheer against them. But
is there anybody else that agrees that sometimes the exception is how you lost?
Yes.
Like,
definitely.
Like you lose, like when the Minnesota Miracle happened to the Saints. Do you feel like they just immediately were like, I hope you die in a plane crash on the way home?
My in-laws were pissed.
That doesn't bother me much, to be honest with you. It is what
I have rooted for plane crashes in the playoffs before. Like, as if somehow, like, the plane crashes and they're like, well, I guess that win never happened then. So
hope their flight gets delayed, right?
That was Philadelphia about that at all.
That was me 4 years ago. Eagles Patriots. What are you gonna do?
But yeah, it's for me, it's more times than not. It's just get them out as quickly as possible. It's Kyle.
Can we demand that the LA Clippers are forced as fans to abstain from this question?
Wait, there's such thing as Clippers fans?
They have fans.
Is that is that breaking news? That's breaking news.
Oh,
Clippers fans.
There are actually Clippers fans.
They're gonna be a problem next year.
Can Saints fans be forced to abstain from this question?
Who?
Oh, it's forever fuck the Saints fans.
Yeah. There are definitely certain teams and fan bases.
I have my teams I hate though, but they are climbing up those charts in the last 5 years.
And that's because of the fan base too. They're obnoxious, like the Miami Heat fans.
Wow.
Hey, listen. Don't worry about EJ. He's not a good Heat fan. He's a wrestling fan. And
Go
Heat
Heat,
fan.
bitch.
I haven't heard him say,
Go Heat, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
I guess I need to get that on my soundboard so he actually can get it on his, I suppose.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Shortcut.
All right. Anyone have any other thoughts on the topic of title obsession, fans, greatness, and any of that before we wrap this episode?
To show that on the Student of the Game podcast, I dropped "Go Heat, bitch" before EJ ever did it on his.
That is documented.
Yes,
sounds about right too.
Very lame of me. Very lame of me to not be. Where'd he go?
Baby probably woke up. Would be my guess.
Oh boy, I that's okay, Sean. I can relate. Trust me.
Everybody on this panel except for Big Jim can relate to that one. EJ, let the people know where they can follow you and get following your shows.
They can find me in Club Go Heat, bitch. Number one. No, EJ Christian 7 on Twitter.
No, they can't. No, they cannot at all. You wouldn't be in that fucking club. They wouldn't let you in that club. They would let Kyle in that club before you.
Because he's 7'5". That's why. I'm gonna tell him no. Come on, shit. EJ Christian 7.
I need to censor that bad, EJ.
Yeah.
I thought Bam was good.
Bam was great. EJ 7 on Twitter. We'll talk about that later on the podcast, Matt. When we do it. EJ Christian 7 on Twitter. First Speaker Podcast, of course. All podcast catchers. That's all I got to you.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at 3CT, the letter A. Philly is in Philadelphia, number 8, 3CT affiliate. You can hear me on Thursdays and Tuesdays on the 3 Count Thursday or 3CT podcast. You can hear me twice a year on the Earnestly Speaking podcast, and you can hear me on Mondays. I guess I should start plugging this show now that I created a YouTube channel for it and everything. The Maximize Monday podcast.
I saw that, man.
Where we talk all things professional business. If you love your job, if you love what you do, if you're looking for a new job, if you're hiring for open positions, let me know. We'd be glad to have you on our show to discuss what's going on in your week ahead. Maximize Monday on YouTube.
All right, Kyle.
Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Though he's not here anymore, I will say it was great to have officially a pot of the books with Sean. I will not refer to him as Jim's evil twin brother again, because he must be a force of good. He talked a lot of
They
smack.
sound the same, don't they? They sound the same voice.
With that in mind, it was the darker goatee that made him the evil twin. That and nothing else.
Darth Vader through the family.
But no, hey, listen, I appreciate you having me aboard. Of course, dealing with me trying to do the show from my phone because Florida lightning is a pain. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student game. You find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Where if you look on Facebook Live there, you'll see the Student of the Game podcast that also broadcasts on the Huddle Up YouTube channel, among many other places, Twitch, podcasting, platforms galore. Of course, check out my work as well with the 3-point conversion. I will be doing the AFC South season preview here. It'll drop sometime late next month, but look out for my work. We'll be at the Hall of Fame in a couple weeks, so check that out as well. Of course, my work with the Black and Gold Banneret, covering UCF sports and covering movies and such, with finding out if things are required reading by way of hilarity by default with DJ's favorite part, Demosthenes Euclid, and of course, my work with A7B in Sports and the Captain Company Morning Show on oldschool101.com.
All right, of course, you can follow me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter. You can follow the show at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook and Twitter. Get subscribed, all podcast platforms and YouTube as well. Make sure you get the merchandise over at tpublic.com. You can find everything you need on the link trees on all of our social media. And until next time, like I said at the start of this episode, that live broadcast as we kick off the new football season return on Tuesday, August the 23rd. We are looking forward to that and being back live each and every week. Until that time, until the next and final edition of our off-season program dropping in a couple of weeks. Stay safe, stay smart, and go for the week.